All right. We are live on X. I haven't seen anything come through on YouTube as of yet, so I'm sure it's just taking a quick second. Now I'm starting to see folks coming through on YouTube. We are live here for the 60-second launch of Electron. It should be fun. And hopefully, we do not end up with anything in terms of delays or anything like that. Let me just clear up some of my tabs, so that way I can focus strictly on you guys. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you're having a good start to the beginning of the week. As always, it is fun to be here. Matteo De Niro, hanging out with Rocket Lab and sharing the good word about a phenomenal company. Let me know if you can see the screen. I know that sometimes StreamYard over the past couple weeks has been somewhat of a pain in the butt in terms of keeping everything up and running smoothly. So if you guys could let me know that you're not seeing just a black screen, that would be extremely helpful for me. Did buy more Rocket Lab this morning. I forget what it was. It was in the 19s, I believe, in terms of pricing. So as always, it's a good time to continue to add, in my opinion. And please do your own due diligence with respect to that. And hopefully over time, we can continue to see the progress of such a great company. Year to date, the stock is down 25% or so. And then obviously over the last trailing 12 months, we are up 361%. So things are looking good. I have a little, this is my buy every other week account. So you can see only 139 shares on this one. But what is it? It's $100 every, maybe it's $150 every time I get paid. So continue this one. Even this is $2,600. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. This is what I do, like my automatic buys on. The other accounts are where I do my big buys, where I'm like, I got $5,000 to drop here. So it's nice to just have a little bit of Robinhood aspect of things, and then also they're giving the 2% in here. And I've actually thought about transferring like some of my other positions that I'm going to hold long term, just cause. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think with respect to that. But hopefully everyone's doing well. It's always a great day. How was your Monday? Wanted to go live yesterday. Never ended up doing that, so apologies, but I did give you guys a video. Hopefully you guys can enjoy that. Markets are not doing too horrible in my opinion, but I know people are still kind of running around with their heads chopped off. They're thinking this might be the new normal. Things are up about 0.75% today in terms of the SPY. So in that case, not awful. Let's look at some of our key stocks like Venture Global. How did that do today? Did well. Looks like it's bottomed. Up about 20% from the bottoms, it looks like. Not a very good start in terms of the IPO. If you're looking at it in that respect, not bueno. Not bueno if you're looking at the IPO, but we are retracing back upwards. So hopefully that continues. $11.40. I know I have a decent position. I think my cost basis actually might be around $13. So it'll be nice to get back to at least my cost basis in case I need it. And then what else? I'm curious actually. Since we're in the LNG space, what else have we got as we're waiting for Rocket Lab to get started? Give me a moment. Let me just spread the good word that we are live here on YouTube to our friends on StockTwits and to our friends on X that we are live, as TJ the Wheel Deal would say. And then also let me make sure I put it in subscribers only mode, because sometimes you get some weasels Sometimes you get the Weaslers in here, the ones that are not actually about people making money. Live. RKLB. Perfect. So there's that. And let me do stock twits, and then we can focus on everybody to see how everybody's doing here. Rocket Lab, High Five, Electron, Launch Live. RKLB. Cool. And then I got people that want to join. Let's see if they're jesting or being serious. We will see. All right, back to reality. All right, so next decade, where are we at with that? It's been rather flat, down 10% in the last month, but up 30 something percent last year. 5 years, up 355. Okay. What else? How did Palantir in today? Up about 1%, down 30% in the last month, 18, 19% last 3 months. So year to date, still up 14, 15%. Cool. What others? We got Rocket Lab, Palantir. One that I've been picking up a little bit is Google. Talk about an opportunity. 15% pullback. It's almost only up 10% in the last year. Look at this pullback. Spiked up over 200. Ooh, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting started. What a great day. All right. Unfortunately, can't play the music. The music is proprietary. So they will flag it. But nice to see. The intro gets started for us here. I always like looking at watching a live rocket launch. It's always very fruitful and fun. Let me send this out to my friends. Adam, not Adam. Well, Adam is a friend, but Dave, Scotto, Vince, streaming the launch if anyone wants to join. I did this so haphazardly. I apologize on behalf of the viewers. Could have done a way better job.
Welcome to launch day. We are on the pad once again for our friends Kineis, who are preparing to launch their 5th and final mission, completing a constellation of 25 Internet of Things satellites in low Earth orbit. Right now, it is 2:12 p.m. local time, and we are just 18 minutes away from liftoff. Thank you so much for joining us as we go to space today. My name is Prachi Saknani.
And I'm Jess Hepworth, and we're joining you live, just steps away from mission control for today's launch.
I feel like I've seen Jessica before.
Is of our Electron rockets standing tall at Launch Complex 1 in New Zealand. Today is our 62nd launch, 58 of which have taken place from one of the 2 pads at this very launch site.
Headed to space today are 5 satellites for French Internet of Things constellation operator Kineis. They're tucked up inside the fairing right now, but before we encapsulated them inside the carbon composite nose cone that protects them from the forces and temperatures of launch, this is what they looked like.
Our very first launch for Kineis lifted off last June during Flight 50, and now here we are at 12 launches and just 9 months later deploying their 5th and final mission. Just how cool is it that we started and completed the deployment of their entire constellation in less than a year?
Absolutely. And how cool is it that this constellation aims to connect any object from anywhere in the world and transmit useful data from these objects to users in near real time? The use cases span environmental monitoring, agriculture and logistics, disaster relief, and much more. Let's hear from the people who designed, built, and are now operating the constellation to learn about its exciting potential.
Kinaes is a French company based in Toulouse. They are satellite operators and global connectivity providers dedicated to the Internet of Things. Mountains, oceans, deserts, 85% of the planet has no network coverage. In 2020, Kinaes raised a large amount of 100 million euros to address this global issue. Today, the company is following through and will deploy a constellation of 25 nanosatellites that will enable it to connect to a multitude of objects anywhere on the planet in near real time. Kinaes is convinced that this transmission of information, made possible by satellite connectivity, will enable it to respond to crucial challenges for mankind, its activities, and its environment. On the environmental front, for example, Kinaes' connectivity can detect a fire outbreak in less than 15 minutes, thus considerably reducing the extent of the outbreak and reducing the loss of property and human life. The same goes for monitoring water levels to prevent flooding and use this dwindling resource. The applications are endless, whether for locating, monitoring, or alerting. Since its creation in 2018, Kinaes and its teams have been working with this objective in mind. Their 25 nanosatellites that weigh only 28 kilograms are real technological gems. The retractable UHF antenna that, for example, can hear a bird sing within a rock concert 650 kilometers from Earth. They have been fitted with thrusters to ensure they stay on track for their mission. Some even carry children's drawings. At the same time, Kinaes has deployed many ground stations worldwide and have a sovereign infrastructure to guarantee data transmission to its clients. Today is a very special moment for Kinaes. It will finally conclude the series of 5 launches, which began in summer of 2024. With this last launch, Kinaes completes its space mission of placing a constellation of 25 nanosatellites in orbit. This last rocket houses the final 5 and will bring the system's performance to 100%. At last, Kinaes can finally devote itself entirely to its mission, to connect your objects 24/7 anywhere on Earth. Looking forward to it.
Today's mission is called High Five,
High five.
a nod to the fact that this is our 5th mission for Kinaes. However, each launch has had its own distinct name and personality.
First, we had No Time to Lose in recognition of Kinaes' home base in France. Next up was Kinaes Killed the Raid IoT Star, a fun little nod to the Internet of Things or IoT capability of the satellites. The third mission was ICE AIS Baby, which referenced the Automatic Identification System or AIS capabilities of the spacecraft. And our most recent mission for Kinaes before today was IoT for You and Me, once again a play on the Internet of Things theme.
There
we
he
prepare
is.
to watch the 5th launch take place for Kinaes today. Let's
Live in
take
the
a
living
quick
room.
look back at those first
Yeah.
moments.
New crib.
4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
I didn't even know they were launching today. Had no idea.
They're so frequent that it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is Hot Kole, the man that actually told me that Rocket Lab was going public via SPAC. So he's the reason why we're here today. Kole, tell the people what you're all about. With the
what I'm all about in terms of investing
Just
or
life.
what?
Just your life.
Just life. What's my life?
Give us a 2-minute elevator pitch on Hot Kole.
Hot Kole. So 27 years old, little blue collar worker. Went to college for a year, played baseball. Found out very quickly that wasn't for me. It was a little too immature for me to go to school at that point in time. So joined the working world, and I think 5 years ago would have been like 21, 22-ish.
We can't
I started
wait
investing
constellation
on my own.
for Kinaes.
And
Right now, we are
been
just
doing that ever
over 12
since, and
minutes
have
away
had
from
pretty
completing
phenomenal
that
returns. So
constellation with the
that's where we're
final
at.
Kinaes launch.
You're the
Before
future
we can
Warren
get
Buffett.
Electron in the air,
Yeah,
There we
we
go.
need the green light from operators
You're
and
too modest. You've done really well for
Each
yourself, and
operator will call out
I keep in touch with Cole pretty regularly, so it's a treat to get him on the stream because we chatted last about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, on the phone for a little bit.
And it was really funny because I think it was like a 2-hour conversation or something, and then I went through my recent calls and saw that like 2 years prior to that, the exact date was the first time that we had a voice call. I'm like,
oh, really?
That's kind of neat. Like, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we've texted a lot. So Cole's in a group chat with me and a few others, and we keep in touch. And I like Kole because he brings a very different perspective. He's got a very good lens on the markets, and he's a sniper, man. You've had some really good picks right before they've moved up, like Lockheed Martin and a few others.
Yeah, that's one I've actually been paying attention to lately. I've kind of just been DCAing into it, even though I'm up. But who knows? It looks like that F-35 program's taking more hits. It looks like the old Canucks don't want the planes, so who knows?
Well,
up is go.
maybe when it's down at the bottom, snipe in, grab a little bit more.
Grab a little bit more. Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing is it's in my Roth, so I can only do so much.
Right. Yeah.
From this time, the 3-war procedure is in effect.
And we're doing a multicast. There's one Kinese and one Rocket Lab. What is
sea of greens across the board?
The one on the right is Rocket Lab.
Now, like our
have they said who this payload's
Kinese,
for?
Today's launch opportunity is instantaneous.
Oh, okay.
It's the 5th and final for Kinese.
Planned T0.
25 satellites or I guess 20 have already been deployed. This is the remaining 5.
If for any reason we need to delay today's launch, we won't have an opportunity to recycle and try today, but we'll have to come back tomorrow or the day after at the exact same time.
But, of course, that's the beauty of launching on Electron versus hitching a ride with a bunch of other spacecraft on a rideshare mission. This way, Kinese has complete control over when they go to space and exactly where they are deployed in orbit. That is, assuming the weather plays ball, of course. Which, today, as you can see on your screens, it looks like it is, so we're progressing with the count.
Oh, okay. I was gonna visually, it does not look very good, but...
Yeah, it doesn't. How's your addition? Have you been continuing to add Rocket Lab? I know you message every once in a while saying you add a little bit here, add a little bit there.
What did you say?
I did.
Proceed with sequence 57.
Sound fancy. I added a couple tranches of just a few shares here and there. Ended up being like 100 shares in the, I think 1750-ish. Little under 18, and then I've got two $19 puts that expire in June on it. So
there you go.
Yeah, they were 22 strikes, and then I rolled them out to 19. I'm fine with picking them up at 19.
19's
good. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, 19's good. 22, I agree. It's kind of like you feel like you're kind of getting cheated a little bit, but 19, you're kind of like below 20. It's a sweet spot.
Yeah, and then on the inverse of that, 25. June.
Today's mission is headed to a 650 kilometer low Earth
not
orbit,
buying calls.
But we're no strangers to missions a little further away. In fact, more than 380,000 kilometers away. That's right. I'm talking about lunar missions.
There you go.
Some of you might remember the Capstone mission we launched for NASA, which used an Electron rocket to reach Leo and a Photon spacecraft to conduct a translunar injection
crap.
to send a satellite
ton of money
all the
right
way
before
to
earnings.
lunar
I'm
orbit
like, that was
for the very first mission of the Artemis program.
Hold them out. See what happens.
Well, more recently, our software, hardware, and people supported another moon landing. Let's hear from the team behind those missions to learn what it's like to play a role in lunar exploration.
The atmosphere in mission control is absolutely exhilarating.
You could
planning
move
a trajectory to the moon is not an easy task.
You too could work at Rocket Lab.
Become a Kiwi.
Rocket Lab is in charge of a number of really important things.
Yeah.
From the flight dynamics, which is the team that I lead, to the GNC, or the guidance, navigation, and control,
very animated.
the flight software, and the ground software.
Very.
Each of these has a really crucial role. Planning a lunar trajectory is always
I haven't gotten a chance to see any of the
mission.
videos of launches of late. Do they keep bringing in like fresh faces?
And the best way that we can
they are trying to bring in more faces And
a lot of work
it
that is
was,
done
I don't know
within
if you
each
remember,
team, and
the
each team
lady
is
named
full of
Muriel,
experts.
she used
The
to kind of
most
be like the
important thing that we have
face,
to
in my
do
opinion,
is
of
determine
Rocket
what
Lab
is
in
the
terms
end
of like the
objective.
launches.
So we
And
effectively
it seems like
plan
they're
it
trying to
backward
get a few more
from where we
folks
want to be at a given
rotated
time,
through. I
all
don't
the
know if
way
it's
to the phasing
strategic
orbits that
or
need to be in,
I know Muriel's
to
taking a
where
different
the
position in
moon
the
has to be
company.
in with respect to the
She's
Earth
now leading
when
kind of
we
investor
launch,
relations.
into
And
when we plan each of the maneuvers in order
seems like
to
more of like Peter's
raise our
day-to-day book,
apogee, which is the highest point in the Earth
which
orbit,
reminds me, hopefully we were
in
able to
order
get
to intercept
another
the moon at
opportunity
the right
to
time and turn on the engines
hang out with
exactly at the
Peter
right time.
and have
Less
some
than 100
conversations with him and Adam,
Rocket
but
Lab was involved
we haven't heard
in
anything
the
as of late.
capstone
So.
mission that delivered
Yeah, they're probably a little
microwave-sized
busy with their
spacecraft in a
non-binding
really cool orbit
acquisition.
called an NRHO.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
And that allowed Rocket Lab
Look
to
at
build
that.
this whole platform called the Lunar Photon
Pretty cool.
that is radiation tolerant, that has all these really important features for deep space
Wait, are we
missions.
talking about
That is
capstone
really
again?
important for
Yeah.
developing the future of
I think they showed the
because it means that
the
Rocket
orbit
Lab
that
can just
SLS
go
will
to a
take
given
to. It's
customer
pretty
and
dope.
say, hey, we have a platform that's ready for you guys to go launch directly in deep space, and we know how to fly it. So
Maybe they're
there's less
talking about how
uncertainty, a lot of flight
they
heritage,
were able to help with Firefly
and
get on the moon.
it's
I think
something
that's
that
what-
the teams know how to fly.
Interesting.
That's 2 NASA lunar missions complete, but we are far from done when it comes to missions beyond low Earth orbit.
That's right. The 2 Escapade spacecraft we've built for NASA are awaiting launch to Mars to study the red planet's magnetosphere. And of course, our private mission to Venus is also progressing too. In fact, just recently, the heat shield for the Venus mission capsule was fit-checked at NASA's Ames Research Center in California. That mission is particularly exciting as it hopes to study Venus's clouds in search for microbial life living in the atmosphere. So, while rockets might be how we started and what we named the company after, these days it represents just a part of the exciting and innovative missions we're undertaking, thanks to our ever-growing capabilities as an end-to-end space company.
Speaking of that, Launch Complex 1 is playing host to its 58th launch today, with 4 other missions having taken place from Launch Complex 2 in Virginia. Today's liftoff is scheduled for just 5-ish minutes from now. And after liftoff, the journey to orbit
rookie
takes
numbers.
about 9 minutes, with payload happening around 55
I don't know why. I thought we were
later.
hopefully closing in on
Here's
double
a simplified
digits.
snapshot of what that looks like.
Electron will move through a series of pre-programmed milestones that you see here, including max Q, main engine cutoff on the first stage separation between those first and second stages, ignition of the single vacuum optimized Rutherford engine on the second stage, fairing jettison, second engine cutoff, and then kick stage separation ahead of payload deployment. We'll talk you through each of these milestones as they take place in flight, but for now, it's time to settle in to the final count.
Once we hit T-minus 2 minutes, Electron will take over control from the operators as part of an auto sequence. So all that's left to do is let Electron's 9 Rutherford engines ignite at T-minus 2 seconds for liftoff when that clock hits T0. Let's hand it over to the operators in mission control to listen in on that sequence.
Yeah, surprised that they've only launched, but I guess it's only been the haste missions that they've launched from Launch Complex 2. I'm trying to think if they've launched any non-haste missions.
TCLE?
ECS is disabled. Pad auto sequence is armed.
Yeah,
Pad
it's
ready for
it's really
launch.
cool that they're
Copy, thank you,
able
TC.
to utilize Launch Complex 2 for more than commercial customers. I think I forget if you remember, they were going to take some of the resupply missions of the ISS off of I forget what the vehicle is, because I'm pretty sure that vehicle that they used had quite a bit of Russian components in it. I could be wrong, but I think I remembered hearing that.
I wouldn't be surprised. It could still be in action.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if Electron's got enough juice to get it up there. That'd be something I'd have to look into.
I think it definitely. Let me try to think. Like, it's 10 million
From now, there
cost per
should be no red
kilogram.
flags on your critical LCCs. Beacon LD in mission court.
LD Beacon.
Beacon, lock the auto sequence and confirm.
Locked.
And Beacon, confirm all flight computer ASCOs are green.
All flight computer ASCOs are green.
Copy, thank you, Beacon. We are go for auto sequence
Yeah.
start T-2 minutes. LDs go for launch.
So if you max out Electron, you're paying $30,000 per kilogram, which maybe not as bueno. So if you think, like, for what I've been doing research on, if you're using a Falcon 9 and you're using the average payload of around 3,500 is what they've done. That's not Starlink related. So like customer payloads, it's been around 3,500. It's about 20,000 per launch. Sorry, $20,000 per kilogram to space. So technically, if you were to launch from a Falcon 9, now of course that all depends if you need 3,000. You know what I mean? Like if you're launching less than 3,000, I guess technically in that case, if you're launching less than 2,000 kilograms, well, I guess it needs to be below 330 kilograms to launch from neutron or Electron. But
for flight.
I guess it all just depends on how much stuff you're trying to get up there.
I see some VG holders in the chat.
Hey man, LNG, we're long.
Yeah.
We are long.
Lock's load is complete. System is in recirculation.
Oh boy.
A lot of people are. What has a better BTU output? What if I told you that LNG was methane? Would it blow your mind? Whoa.
How were the storms down in Texas? I heard that you guys had a little bit, or
maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I heard some rain going on the other day. It wasn't too bad. VG is live.
I was gonna say I was
disabled.
I saw Hot Kyle, the American Kyle, to preface that.
Yeah.
He was talking about it. I'm like, well, that's not good because we get quite a bit of products from down there.
There you go.
Yep.
High flow engine purge enabled.
Yeah, it did only, if anything, it lasted a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe North Texas got hit way worse, but I just got some like small, quick thunderstorms. I think Friday, Saturday, but everything wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
All right. T-minus 25. But yeah, you're right. Not the most clear skies.
No. This always worries me. Max Q is like everybody when they take a deep breath. Me, it's like the battery jettison that always freaks me out.
7.
Secco always gets me.
4.
Yeah.
3.
All right, let's go lift off, baby. All right, now I'm gonna lift off as expected.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
Beautiful. So far.
High fives all around as our 60-second Electron lifts off and clears the pad at Launch Complex 1. Keep an eye out on those dials at the top of your screen there to see Electron speed and altitude rapidly climb as we make our way to space once again. Right now, we're less than a minute or just about a minute away into flight.
That means it's like the Honda CR-V of rockets, reliable.
Maximum aerodynamic pressure. Let's listen in for
Knock
that
on
call out
wood
for mission control.
So you said the battery jettisons. You're curious. Why?
I don't know what it is, and I could be completely misinterpreting the maneuver. Like anytime I just hear like battery,
Electron has successfully cleared max Q. We're now at just over 17 kilometers in altitude and traveling at over 2,500 kilometers an hour. In just a few moments, the 9 Rutherford engines on Electron's first stage will shut down, signaling the start of stage separation. The main body of Electron, made from carbon composite, will split into 2 parts. The first stage will head back to Earth, while the second stage, powered by its own Rutherford engine, will ignite and continue its journey to orbit. All of this happens in a matter of seconds. So let's stay tuned and listen for the updates.
When's the last time you watched the launch?
Stand by for MECO in roughly 30 seconds.
Been a minute?
Oh man. I couldn't even answer you on that. I know, like sometimes I'll watch clips of the past ones, so it all kind of blends together for me. But it's been a while.
Entered burnout detect mode.
Have you gone out and played golf yet this year?
I have not. There's been one really good weekend, and we had that, like, that 1 week of March where you're like, all right, summer's here, and then weather's like just getting cool, like we're back to regular spring. So it's been really damp, wet.
There we go.
And it's just now starting to get cold
stage
again,
separation and second stage ignition confirmed. Electron's second stage is now continuing the mission to orbit with those 5 Kine
yeah, that's always my
attached
most
to the kick stage
fearful
and traveling at over 8,200 kilometers an hour.
First stage.
Very soon, the 2 halves of Electron's fairing will split and fall away, exposing the Kine satellites to space ahead of deployment. This is a process called fairing jettison, and it's coming up very soon.
That was their last anomaly, right? It was on a second stage ignition, and it just spiraled out of control.
Exactly. It's goodbye fairing and hello space for the final.
But believe it or not, that was 18 months ago.
Integrated onto the kick.
It's crazy to think about, yeah.
We are now just over 3 minutes into flight.
Which I guess at this point, I think somebody said they've had
second stage burn.
20 launches, or this is the 20th launch, or this is the 21st launch since then.
Yeah.
So far so good.
I'm trying to think. It's what, either 3 or 4 anomalies if you count the tests. Because they had 2 test launches.
Yeah. If you count the tests, it's 4 in total. So 4 out of 62, which I don't know. I always get kind of like I'm still in between whether or not you count Haste as full on Electron missions. But
all right, folks, let's turn our attention to the right side of our screens. What you're seeing there are the real-time propellant levels for our second stage. We've got the fuel and ox levels up displayed, and with the kerosene at about 73%.
It would be very interesting
to
about
73% as well remaining.
It
is a
more figures on the types of tweaks that they have to make to the vehicle.
Let's keep an eye on those numbers as we get closer to staging.
If the flight path's somewhat similar in the trajectory, or if they got to really fine tune that thing.
Interesting. What other stocks you buying into these days, Hot Kole?
Stage 2 now traveling at over 11,000 kilometers an hour with that nozzle glowing bright over 179
So I think I've got my call spaces down to like
1140
shares, something like that. So I've been buying that pretty heavily.
Space, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Amazon and 200. I think I got it in the
first launched
high
Electron,
180s.
It took with it a few world firsts, including the unveiling of our 3D printed Rutherford engines.
I don't know. It's another one of those, like, it's in my raw.
Gas turbine,
so I can only do so
the fuel
much.
pumps inside Rutherford are powered by electric motors.
But
those motors are powered by batteries.
During flight, we use up all the power in one set of batteries before switching to a fresh set. But rather than carry the dead weight of those spent batteries all the way to orbit, we jettison them to give us more available
aside from
mass
those,
for
I've just
customer
been still
spacecraft.
building cash.
The nifty little maneuver is called battery hot swap, and it's coming up next.
What about the jettison? I think I might have asked you this, but sorry, I was mentally probably somewhere else. What about the battery jettison scares you?
I think it's just, I'm probably just not understanding what the true maneuver is and what it actually means. I just see like battery jettison, and those 2 words just freak me out. So I think it's just me misinterpreting what they do. Because I mean, again, you look at kick stage separation, you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, that's just, I think it's just a me thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's
battery jettison confirmed.
It's a good question. Not 100% certain if it's what's helping.
On your screen there, battery hot swap has been successful. The next major milestone will be SECO, or second engine cutoff, coming up in about 3 minutes. At that point, the Rutherford engine will throttle down before shutting off completely in preparation for kick stage separation. After that, it's all up to the kick stage after a coast period to deploy the payloads.
HVB discharge holding nominal.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like what empowers one of the pumps or something like that, and then there's a third battery or fourth battery.
AFDS has saved.
That, once it expends, you don't need to carry it, so they just get rid of the old one.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense with, any type of rocket to shed as much weight as possible as soon as you can. So I mean, that would be my guess. If they've got more operational batteries on there, they can shed those too because they're low on juice. We don't have any, and call it a day. Wish I could also.
Yeah, what would that look like as a human being? I don't know.
Now's as good a time as any to remind you that there's more than just rockets in this lab. And if you want to have views like this be a part of your everyday, there's a place in space for you.
Oh,
right now we have roles in our machine shop teams. So if you have experience with 5-axis CNC machines, editing and programming, or experience in Siemens or NX, then we want to hear from you.
Visit rocketlabusa.com/careers and get in touch with our talent acquisition team as soon as you can.
Rocket Lab's weak point is Sir Peter Beck flying his helicopter.
It's true, man. I hope they have.
Oh my god. Such a ballsy maneuver. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Helicopters, man. Not the best in terms of reliability and safety.
Entered burnout detect mode.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Not long
so
now
it's getting
until
slightly
that
better with
second
what's
stage
going on
engine
with the
throttles
camera.
down and shuts off ahead of kick stage separation. The stage operator in mission control will call it out across the nets, so keep an eye on the nozzle on your screen as it cools down.
Jesus. Peter is the white Kobe. Hopefully never.
It took me a minute to figure that one out. Good lord.
But yeah, okay. So
separation confirmed.
Are you?
There you have it. Electron's second stage Rutherford engine has shut down, and the kick stage has separated for the coast phase as planned.
Are you?
For the next 45 minutes, the kick stage will pass around Earth until it reaches a precise point where the tiny 3D printed Curie engine will ignite to raise the orbit ahead of payload deployment.
This phase is an important period where the spacecraft is essentially coasting through space, following its calculated trajectory without the need for engine burns. During this time, our team will be closely monitoring all systems to ensure everything is functioning smoothly and according to plan. This phase allows us to prepare for the critical moment of payload deployment, ensuring that the satellites are released into their intended orbit accurately and safely.
So while we wait, please sit tight and stay with us. We'll be back in approximately 45 minutes with live coverage of the payload deployment. In the meantime, feel free to grab a snack, stretch your legs, and we will see you back here soon.
Prachi. What was it say? So you're adding a little bit. You said you had the cash secured puts. Are you adding on the open market at all, or are you just stacking cash other than those cash secured puts?
Yeah, so mainly just stacking cash, and the main reason for that, aside from just, in my opinion, not getting as many deals, was I was expecting a rather large tax bill this year, and then I totally forgot about rolling calls, so I had to roll for quote unquote a loss, even though you make it back with the premiums if you do it right. So I totally forgot I did that. So when my accountant called me and was like, "Hey, you're getting a return this year," I'm like, "All right, here we go." So now it's just about finding the right price point. I think I had I had 2,500 shares of Rocket Lab at a 492 cost basis.
Hell yeah.
So I picked up 100 shares. Now it's at like 539. So it's just about, to me, making sure I get the right deal since I've already got a pretty decent position in it. But we'll see.
Go.
I mean, if it's another earnings where it's down like 20 to 25% on news that I don't justify to be bad, like this last quarter, we're probably gonna add more.
Yeah, the way I look at it is it's less than a $10 billion company at the moment, and with what they're doing, it's like it's just kind of, for me, a no-brainer. And I think, yeah, I mean, could things always go sideways or go down from here? Of course, they could always go sideways or down in terms of company performance, etc. And that, of course, would have a drag on the stock. But to me, I think with the stock only valuing the company at less than 10 billion, I just think it's a misalignment with the potential for the company and what they could eventually deliver. So I'm still buying here as much as I can. Unfortunately, I don't have as much money as I wish I could. Otherwise, I'd probably double my entire position. But unfortunately, reality sets in. So, but yeah, the hope is just continue to add every time I get paid, just a little bit here, a little bit there, and eventually get to a pretty sizable position. And when it eventually decides to go and hit 100 or 150 billion in market cap, fingers crossed. That's at the moment what I can kind of see it getting to in the medium to long term with what I know today about the company. Then it'll end up being a pretty sizable position for me. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I've kind of always, I could see 100 billion. I think for me, I like to temper down on expectations. So I think for me, 70 to 80 would probably be something I'm more comfortable with saying. I think also too, there's still this ginormous misconception with this company just due to their branding and all of the Neutron news, where people just don't understand that the launch business is one component of a much larger play that they have, which is manufacturing. And I think once people realize that, they'll be in a lot better shape, and they might get a little bit of a bigger premium in the markets. But yeah, I mean, they kind of put it on themselves with delaying Neutron, and then really prefacing to everybody how big of a deal Neutron was on a pathway to profitability. And I think that instead, and I've told you this, instead of harping on Neutron, just start trying to find some operational efficiencies that you can find in your manufacturing of components side of the business. Like for me, that's big. You can grow revenue 30-40% a year or whatever they're doing. If you're doubling up on revenue but doubling up on expenses as well, then you're really not doing much. So that's something that I'm looking at very closely.
That's why they pay the big bucks.
I love how when I move, you can see the safe in the background.
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah. Well, unfortunately, I do have to run, but I was excited to get you on, and I'm excited that you messaged. So we'll have to touch base again at another time. But I did have a brief hour or so to be able to stream this. So I wanted to stream this and give some people an opportunity to look. And thank you for the 88 people that have been able to join on YouTube, or at least have been here for quite some time. But Kole, anything you want to say to the viewers? It's second or third, maybe it's the third time you've been on.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. It's been a couple times though, definitely. No, I just say, be very cautious, right? We're in a period of, I'd say, uncertainty in the markets. If you look at the VIX, it's up, down all the time throughout the days, and anytime that you see that VIX between 20 and 30, just be very careful of what you're doing and when you're doing it. I'd say in terms of these speculative plays like Rocket Lab and VG, at the end of the day, if you have a thesis in what the company eventually will be, price action on the daily shouldn't matter. But at the same time, don't buy into something without the willingness or the possibility of losing it. And that's just a big one. I see every downturn I see, there's always people like, I shouldn't have bought this, I shouldn't have bought that. It's like, just give it a second. Let's all come to terms with the fact that we're in a very volatile market right now, and it's probably going to be like this for a little while if I had to guess. But it's really patience. Patience is a virtue in this game.
Yeah, no one.
But always a pleasure, brother. We'll have to do this.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I'll have to catch you on the next one. And unfortunately, I'm not going to stay live for the next 35 minutes until they get orbit. So be sure to check out Rocket Lab on X to get your updates, whether or not they got a good orbit. Let me just double check if I could share your X, if you don't mind. I know some people may or may not want to be shared, but do you want to be shared? Do you not want to be shared?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
So everybody can follow Hot Kole on X. He's a good guy. Notre Dame fan as well.
Of course, man. I never got to talk crap to you about what we did to those pesky Nittany Lions.
Yeah, well, it was It was a well fought game, but yes, you can always talk trash. As always, Penn State loses the big games; they never win. So
I'm right there with you, brother. I've had my fair share of those. We'll have to catch a game at Beaver Stadium one of these days. That stadium's on the bucket list for me. I got to do that.
Dude, we should. Yeah, I think I need to. I think I've been thinking about this. I need to be a little bit more available to go to the Northeast and spend some time. Like 2020, I was too busy like getting out of the U.S., like going to Jamaica, Dominican, etc. And then 2022, I went to Mexico a little bit. 23, I went to Mexico a little bit, and I guess 24 I did as well. But yeah, I need to just go and spend some time up in the Northeast, and I'm allowed to. Like I've chatted with people at the office. They said, you can work remote from Pennsylvania for a week or two at a time if you need to, and visit your mom, etc. So I might go ahead and take you up on that, and maybe I can schedule something for this fall, and I'll keep you apprised of what I end up doing.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Cool.
For sure.
Well, all right, my man. I'm gonna head off, but I'll talk to you a little bit. I'll see you on in the DMs.
Yep. Talk to you later, man.
Later, all.